Program. Hi, Jin.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thanks very much. Before we go into quickly what this evening's program is about, I'd like to remind our viewers that we would love to find out where you are coming from, where you're watching from. So please leave us comments to let us know where you are. Give us some likes. Tag some friends that you think would enjoy this program. We'd love to come back afterwards and find out who's been watching our shows. So tonight you're going to be presenting an interview with our cellist Joy Yanai. And we start off with some beautiful Bach Cello Suite music from Joy, and then go right into a very interesting interview with you and some surprises.
Yeah. I mean, I think amazing thing about these interviews is that you can actually tell right away, and as you listen to even longer, the kind of the sensibility and personality of each of these players. It's just so wonderful to touch base with them, because especially from my point of view, I mean, I know the musicians as well, but most of our working relationship is centered around music, right? So where the best rehearsals is when nobody talks and we just try to fix things, by just listening and just seeing each other. It's been great fun.
I'm glad, and I've really been enjoying it because it's also giving me, as basically an audience member, a chance to really connect more with our musicians.
Yeah, and this week, not only do you get to know Joy and listen to her wonderful playing, you'll also get a window into what the musicians go through during the auditioning process.
Yeah, that's terrific. Well, I'll see you afterwards for a quick goodbye. Enjoy.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Hello, everyone. As you can see, I'm outside today because in the last couple of weeks that we've been doing this, I've been inside, obviously, and I thought it's such a nice day out, get the studio outdoors. So we're today joined by Joinatsuru Yanai, better known as Joy. And she is our section cellist, and she's been with us for about a couple of years. And we're so happy to have her. Hello, Joy.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Just could you maybe for our viewers just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how you ended up joining the orchestra?
Sure. I'm originally from Japan. I started high school, Walnut Hill School for the Arts in Natick, Massachusetts. And since then, I've been in Boston for a long time for my undergrad, master's, also graduate diploma, and I studied at New England Conservatory in Boston, and I've been out of school for almost 2 years. I can't really remember.
So, for those of you who are not familiar with this area, the Natick is Metro West, so west of Boston. It's probably about 10 miles west of Boston. The Walnut Hill School, where it's located, it's basically its own prep school, separate from the New England Conservatory. However, it sort of is, very much like Juilliard prep type of a thing, where you actually have it's a program geared for arts, and it has, I think it offers degrees for not only music, but dance and I think theater too, right?
Mm-hmm. Theater,
Yeah.
writing, also visual arts.
Yeah. So it's a very competitive school to get into. With that, obviously, Joy has been in this Boston area for a long, long time. I don't know. It's already been that many years since you've been out of school. So, and then I know that you auditioned for the orchestra a year or two ago. Was it 2 years ago, right? Was it 2 years ago or last year? I can't remember. 2 years ago, right?
ASO,
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. And so she's, you've been playing with us for a while. And so tell me what's life has been like. I mean, you're obviously not in Japan, you're in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you been doing?
I have been doing online concerts with my roommates. I have
Uh-huh.
2 roommates, and they're one cellist and one violinist. And
Uh-huh.
it's very nice to have music player roommates, because I can play with them,
Uh-huh.
not only just by myself. I think if I'm to going through this time just by myself, I think I could have gone insane.
Well, but you kind of strike me as, someone who's kind of a homebody too. Are you more of a people person or you like to go outside and do things, or is it?
I'll like it when um, I'm spending time with little people, like small little number of people. But
Uh-huh.
when things are restricted, I want to go out more.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So you're kind of a rebel in that sense.
Yes.
um, with that, so tell me how it has been. I mean, your nationality is Japanese, right? So you have
Mhm.
citizenship, Japanese citizenship. So you've been navigating through transitioning into becoming a professional musician, working in the States.
Mhm.
And I heard there has been recently a very good news in the last few months. And could you share that with us?
Uh, I auditioned the Naples Philharmonic Orchestra in Naples, Florida last October, and I got the position in the section cello.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you, and
Uh-huh.
I've been playing with them since January this year.
Uh-huh. So you've been commuting back and forth
Mm-hmm.
between Boston and Naples. What did you think of Naples when you first got there?
It's nice there. It's a lot warmer. I really like the palm trees
Uh-huh.
in general, and it's nice to be surrounded by that tree. And yeah, it's really different from Boston.
Oh, I bet. And I think, I can't remember the name, but I think there's a violinist or two that's played with the orchestra who's been a member with that orchestra now. I think she may be assistant principal. I can't remember, but I have to look her up. But anyway, so for those of you who are not so familiar with Naples, Florida, the orchestra in Naples Philharmonic, it's a very good professional orchestra. And people say, of all places, where is this Naples? But a lot of the retiree communities from the East Coast have settled down there, and so they, I think, really wanted to have a extremely high caliber professional orchestra down there, and as a result of it, I think the orchestra is doing very well, and it's a very good orchestra, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So with that, tell us a little bit about your auditioning process with the Naples Philharmonic. What was it like?
Uh, Definitely very stressful and exhausting because not only I have to prepare for each round, I also have to wait a long time to get the result if I'm passing to the next level, and it can take a long time, and I basically had to take a nap between the auditions, each auditions, because it was just too exhausting to me.
Yeah. So, what do you mean by rounds? So, after, obviously, did you have to send in a recording beforehand for it to be screened, or?
This time just the resume.
Uh-huh. And then they invited you, and so you flew down there,
Mm-hmm.
and then you just got up on stage and just played.
First, we got the time slots,
Mm-hmm.
and we took a
Mm-hmm.
number draw, and see who's going when. And then I think I was maybe like 10 or 11 people to go to the audition.
Uh-huh. And they do this so that people don't know, the judges don't know who's playing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's what they call a blind audition, right? So
Yes.
was there a screen in front
Yes.
of the judges? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so when you enter the room, and usually with these auditions, just like Atlantic Symphony as well, there are specific pieces or parts of symphonies or what have you, orchestra repertoire, that you have to prepare.
Mm-hmm.
And also, did you have to play some solo pieces as well, little bits of
Yes.
it? Okay.
Concerto and also solo Bach.
And then how many of these, like the sampling of different pieces, how many did you have to prepare?
Maybe about between 10 to 15.
And then they tell you what to play, right? They don't necessarily have you play every single one of them, right? So, and how long did the first round take when you actually finally made it to the audition room?
I think the first one was about 7 minutes.
Okay. And then you said the wait began. So how long was the wait between that and the second round?
For that one, I only had to wait 1 hour because there are a lot of people playing the day, and they give us result every hour.
Mm-hmm.
So I only have to wait 1 hour, but the next audition was the next day,
Uh-huh.
following day. So I had to go back home and just practice all day again.
Uh-huh. And then the second round, the next day, did you have to play the same thing again, or did they ask you to play some other things?
Mostly different things.
Okay. Did you know about this repertoire beforehand, or did they just tell you this on the day of?
On the day.
Oh,
of.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And then, so the second round came, and how long? I'm assuming same situation where you drew numbers. And then how long was it? Also about 5-10 minutes or a little longer?
About 10 minutes.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then after that, was there another round?
Yes, I had to
Oh,
wait
my.
for like 2-3 hours,
Uh-huh.
and then we had to play again. This time, I think it was the final round, so the
Uh-huh.
screen was out, so I could see the judges.
Uh-huh.
And
And how many judges were there?
to be honest, I don't remember.
Okay. Uh-huh.
I was too nervous.
I see. And
Also try not to look at them.
oh, sure, sure.
I know I get so nervous when
Uh-huh.
I see the judges
Uh-huh.
straight. So and I played again maybe a little more than 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
They asked me to play the solo concerto and solo Bach again, which I didn't really expect for, because a lot of auditions they ask for a solo piece in the like beginning of audition,
Uh-huh.
and then not so much for the last.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, oh, okay.
Okay. And then after that, were you notified, or did you have to play with the orchestra too?
Then they had a super final after that.
Oh, a super final. So, and how was it on the same day or next day again?
Same day again.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So like an hour or two later, you had the super final?
Yes.
And what did that entail? Was it more, this time more orchestral playing, or is it same?
It was just the chamber music. I
Uh-huh.
had to play Mozart quartet with other members of the orchestra.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And did you know that you're going to be playing this quartet before?
The quartet I knew, but I didn't think that I'll make it to the hour. So like I took a look at it beforehand, but not. I wasn't so ready for.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, I mean, you're a tremendous musician, so I'm sure but having that kind of a last minute thing also is kind of refreshing too, I think, and then I mean, to look at it from a positive angle. And so after you played the quartet with the orchestra musicians, is that when the decision was made as far as to go with you, and you won the position?
Yes.
Wow, congratulations. And so, but obviously with the situation we're in, what's happening with Naples Philharmonic?
They decided to cancel the rest of the season, which ends the end of May anyway. So I think for the organization, it was a good timing, because if it was running for the whole time, it would be financially, it would be too much for them.
Yes, and I think that's a kind of a reality with just about all the groups these days. So, and then, and obviously you're on standby as far as what's gonna happen in the fall, right? Yeah, along with all of us here. So, and then just kind of going back to the whole audition process, just to kind of wrap things up for our viewers. Now that you have been selected, tell us about what's happening. So, I mean, are you a member now, or you have a probational period, right?
Yes, I will be untenured, so basically on trial for the next 2 seasons. And after that, I think the orchestra will have meeting if I should stay or if I don't fit in the orchestra, and then they give me the answer.
So within 2 years, so just like kind of a professorship where you will get tenured or not, and I think it's to protect both the musicians and the organization too, but so that you know, the orchestra doesn't necessarily have you as a substitute all the time, but actually have you. And then once you're tenured, you basically have your position for life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's up to you. And obviously, if you want to move on, that's up to you. But you know, you basically have the position. So, well, congratulations. Sounds exhausting, and I know every single audition is very different. And I've, you know, in multiple rounds aside, sometimes these rounds are spaced out so like far in between, where people not only prepare, but people have to like pay, you know, go over there again and again and again, right? So at least it sounds like your audition process, as grueling as it was, at least it was done in a kind of a much more of a compact manner. So that's a good thing. But it's exhausting just hearing about it. So, but once again, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And so, I mean, other than just playing, and I've been asking all the musicians being featured on this. So what else do you do other than playing chamber music with your roommates?
I've been cooking a lot,
Mm-hmm.
definitely, which it's not really helping my weight wise.
All of us. You look great anyway. So, uh-huh. And
also, I'm slowly making a face mask. Yeah.
oh, so are you making one for yourself, or all your roomies or other people?
My roommates.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They're not so good with needle and thread?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right.
Oh, I like doing like.
Oh, you like doing the sewing and knitting and stuff.
Yeah.
Ah, nice. Okay.
Oh, these are what I made.
Wow. Which one is yours?
Smaller one. Blue
I
one.
I see. Okay. Well, that's very handy. And have you been going outside much at all for exercise or anything? Just walking around?
Mostly walking.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes, not all the time, but I do like soccer and frisbee with my roommates.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
You
what
seem
else?
to have a very tight-knit roommate situation. Tell us a little bit about the performance we just heard of, you know, the Bach and the last piece that you played.
The Bach, I played Prelude, Sarabande, and Gigue from the Cello Suite number 3, and the last movement of Barriere for 2 cellos.
Mm-hmm.
I play with one of my roommate Ungi.
Uh-huh. And that's a very exciting piece as well. So I'm so glad that he's able to join you. Cello wouldn't be cello without those Bach suites. Maybe can you just tell us a little bit about the Bach suites, how many there are, and you know why you love them so much?
There's 6 suites in total for cello, and each suite consists of 6 movements, and all of them are based on dance music from European countries, and I think for cellos it's like a Bible.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and I think when, you know, for a while, I think a lot of the musicologists also had no idea for a while, at least before people really unearthed it. People thought, I mean, was it supposed to be accompanied even, or just because it's got such complex lines going on just for one instrument? But, you know, obviously it became very clear sooner than later, thankfully. That's why I think it stayed with us since Bach days from, you know, 1600s onwards. So with that, it's a good segue to introduce one of your roomies. Ungi, are you here?
Yeah.
Ungi, so how are you?
I'm doing okay, doing well. Getting fatter, which is maybe a good thing. And
yeah, well, I think for both of you, there's no such thing. So I don't see how you guys, you put all of us to shame. Great job on the piece you played at the very end. Could you tell us a little bit about that piece and the composer?
Yeah, sure. The composer is French Baroque composer Jean-Baptiste Barriere. The pronunciation is, I'm sorry to those French speakers. But it's a really wonderful piece written by possibly one of the first cello virtuosos. And he was kind of the first person to be able to play past maybe like 4th position on the cello and to play really fast notes. So what you heard is kind of an example of the virtuosity that was already so prevalent in the time of Bach. And this composer was a contemporary of Bach, so it's probably appropriate to be playing kind of Barrière as a postlude to some really wonderful movements from some Bach suites.
Yeah, it was a wonderful choice, and I haven't heard his music in a while, but you can also tell that he studied in Italy as well, because you see he's not only the French style but also Italian style. And too bad that he died more on the younger side, if I recall.
Yes.
So
40,
yeah. But I mean, as you said, I mean, he's probably considered like the very first, like he started out like a gamba player, right? Before but I mean, as a cellist, became like the virtuoso cellist, who also wrote as well. So it was wonderful. So next week, and actually before we move on, Ungi, I think most of our, if not all of he is our principal cellist for Atlantic Symphony Orchestra. He's been with us for 4 years, has it been already?
This is my 4th season.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Wow, how time flies. And I also like your new hair and the little growth there. So it's very cool. So next week, without a kind of having a cliffhanger, but just want to say it out there to everybody, we're going to be featuring both of you. Joy and Ungi are not only roommates, but they're dating. They've been playing a lot of music together with their other roommate as well. We are looking forward to featuring both of you on your instrument. And so I'm looking very much to the program that you're going to put together for us next week, and hope to talk to you a little more about what life has been like so far, and concertizing via World Wide Web. Anything you want to add to what you programmed this week, or possibly any ideas for next week?
Yeah, well, next week we'll probably be putting together a mix of our own arrangements of music with some standard cello duo rep. One thing that's maybe unfortunate about the cello duo repertoire, is that there isn't so much music written specifically for 2 cellos. It wasn't such a popular solo instrument back when maybe 2 violin music was very popular, but there is still some really wonderful music out there. But because of that, we've taken it upon ourselves to arrange some music for some like beloved classics for cello duo, and it works really well because cello can play basically any role. It can be the bass, the tenor, alto, or soprano all at the same time.
That's for sure, especially for a very good player, because you got to go up and down the register. So
some is harder to execute than others, but we'll practice.
Well, I mean, you guys are great. So we're looking forward to that very much. And so everybody be sure to check us out next week on Thursday for cello duo show featuring our principal cellist Ungi Cho and our section cellist Joinatsuru Yanai. And so thank you so much for both of you for joining us this week, and we look forward to having you next week.
Thank you.
All right, take care now.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much. That was terrific.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, week after week, I'm so blessed to be able to interview our great musicians. And this week, I thought especially was interesting to find out about the whole auditioning process. And I'm sure people